The good news just keeps on rolling as Tesla seems poised to make it 13 days in a row. Now, the market was very, very happy with the CPI. And of course, that means that Tesla investors were also happy and the stock is moving up. I'm starting a new concept on this channel with today's show, and I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video. Hi, it's Randy Kirk, and if you like this kind of content, if this is helpful to you, please hit the like button. I do pay attention to whether you hit like or not. It affects how I plan and manage these broadcasts. And then, of course, if you could hit the subscribe button, then that would be helpful too. And then notifying helps you to be reminded that these shows are coming up. And again, you'll see why maybe you'll want to hit that notify button, but you could do it now or do it later. And then finally, Patreon. I'll be talking a little bit about that at the end as well. All right, listen, the consumer price index came out, printed this morning, was pretty close to perfect. I mean, I pretty much estimated, although I was a little lower, and it came out pretty close to what the street was expecting, which is kind of surprising. Anyway, according to CNBC this morning, the consumer price index, what they call the headline number, increased just 0.1% for the month. That brings the annual level down to 4%. Now, if you can see a chart on this, the chart is just steadily down, going down month after month after month, and I think that's going to make the Fed very happy. The 12-month increase was the smallest since March of 2021, and that was, back when inflation was just beginning to rise. In this overall situation that we've been going through. Now, remember, I think this is a boom bust scenario. I think that the entire inflation thing was based on problems in the supply chain, and that's why you're seeing that it's just coming down steadily. Yes, of course, the Fed, holding a lid on the economy has had something to do with it, but the reality is now that we see the supply chain is almost 100% clean now. This begins to show you that we're just getting back to normal, and the normal is going to be back down under 2% and might go lower than that because of some of the deflationary pressures that are going to be caused by ChatGPT and other big deal contributions to efficiencies in the economy. Now then, if you take out food and energy, however, and you go to the core inflation, it was still what the street was estimating, but it wasn't as good. I don't think this is going to stop the Fed from taking the pause tomorrow. Anyway, core inflation came in at 0.4% for the month, and that would make it 5.3 year over year. But again, steadily going down, although it was flat for the last 2 months at 0.4. So a 3.6%, a 3.6% slide in energy prices was a big deal in helping the overall inflation numbers go down. We've been talking about that for quite a long time, that oil is staying in this low range. We'll talk about that in a second. And then food prices rose just 0.2%. And a lot of that had to do with eggs coming down big time, where the rest of food prices seem to be up a little more. Shelter is the biggest remaining issue. And as I've mentioned before, I don't think that the Fed should count so much on shelter in this regard. The cost of housing, of residential housing, the retail, what you pay if you want to go out and buy a house right now is affected by this major lack of supply. And I don't think the Fed tamping down the economy is going to help create more supply. We need, in fact, some way to stimulate the housing market to build more homes. But unfortunately, rents were also up 0.6% month over month, and that is not a good thing. So I'm not sure that that's going to hold. We'll see what happens next month. Again, I look at this Trueflation index, and the Trueflation index is showing that rents are going down, are not going up at these rates. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next month. Of course, tomorrow we also have the PPI, which gives us the producer price index, which should be more of a leading indicator, whereas these are more following. These are a month to month and a half, even 2 months old, these numbers. But the PPI tends to be a little more current and recent. So hopefully that comes in tomorrow morning at the 0.1% or even 0%. level. Used vehicle prices also increased 4.4, which is the same as April. But overall transportation services were beyond this were up 0.8%. This was a good one. Wages came in at 0.3. Again, I think this is about what people were expecting. This is probably okay with the Fed. They would prefer 0.25. They'd like to see it be 3% year over year. So bonds reacted to all this news with yields down, but not by very much. I suspect that maybe the bond market is waiting to see what the Fed's statement is tomorrow to see if there's enough passivity in that statement to believe that July is also going to be a pause, and also see what next month's CPI comes in. So it might not be surprising. I think that the bond market is going to be flat for a while unless there's some extreme evidence one way or the other about how things are going. So I think we've reached kind of the levels where the bond market is happy. Maybe after tomorrow's actual decisions by the Fed and their statement, maybe we'll see some additional downward pressure. I don't think it's going to go up anymore. I don't think there'll be any more upward pressure unless there's a significant evidence that inflation is reigniting. Oil popped up this morning by $2 a barrel, but that was after the last 2 or 3 days. It went down by $5 a barrel. So the trading range for oil is still in the 69 to 81 range, and right now it's at 69. So that's very good news, because oil goes, is something that just takes the entire market. Everything is affected by oil prices. Breaking news this morning is that Bloomberg is reporting that total demand for oil is now down 1.5 million barrels a day because of BEVs. That's just because of BEVs. That was not including solar, wind, and battery. So I'd be interested to see what impact that's having. Of course, that's a bigger impact on natural gas. But natural gas and oil compete in a lot of areas, like plastics and whatnot. You can make plastics out of natural gas or oil, and there's other areas where natural gas and oil compete. So when natural gas is down, which it is now, at some of its low points historically, then it's going to be a drag on oil as well. Based on oil, all of this in general, I think that the market and Tesla are due for profit taking. And I think that when the Fed pause actually happens tomorrow, that when that Fed pause is in the bank, sorry about that, we could easily see a sell the news day. So maybe we see a sell the news day tomorrow. Now, when the Fed makes their statement, and if it's dovish enough, then we could potentially see another pop on Thursday. So right now, Tesla stock is up this morning. I just looked at it before I started this. It was up about $3. Which makes it the record 13 days in a row. Pay attention. There's going to be headlines that Cathie Wood sold Tesla stock. Well, why did she sell? Well, nobody ever puts that in. Cathie Wood's ARK Invest funds will not carry more than 10% Tesla on the books at any given time. So when the stock price goes up, then all of a sudden their percentage ownership of the fund goes well above 10, and right now was sitting at 14. This only dropped it to 13, which means that Cathie's likely to be selling more. And this is a really important fact that I might do an entire video on this sometime. Remember, there's an awful lot of different kinds of investment strategies out there, and Cathie's is just one. 10% is her maximum. There's other people that use maximums like that. There are people that have goals. They have an overall goal for how much they want to make on a stock before they sell. That's been a kind of a standard practice for decades and decades and decades of people that suggest methods for playing the stock market. There are people that are day traders that are looking, of course, for technical things that will cause them to sell. I've been that person. I'm not right now. I'm not day trading right now. I am in leaps, but my leaps are really long-term leaps. And I'm expecting that I have months and months and months, maybe even years to go before I will maximize my leaps. And they're doing very well right now. Thank you. Anyway, so think about the fact that a lot of times when the market moves or when an individual stock like Tesla moves, it really has nothing to do with fundamentals, and it even has nothing to do with technicals. It may just be moving because there's an overall, I need a breather moment. And right now that I would say is the case. There is no reason for there to be this block at 255. Tesla is bouncing against 255. That is the second time it's bounced around 255. There's no technical reasons. There's no evidence that there's a good reason for that. There should be really no block until about 300. And so this 255 number, I think, is really a breather moment. And it's creating a new technical level, which people will then talk about in the future as a place where Tesla needs to break through. So Not Tesla app is reporting. Okay, so we know we've got this Highland vehicle that's been rumored, and we've got pictures of it and people driving them around and with camouflage on the front so we can't see what the new design looks like and whatnot. Well, okay, another set of rumors. This set of rumors today is so specific. I think we can be highly confident that the Highland is coming. One of the things that the Highland apparently is going to get is ventilated seats. Other rumored features, according to Not a Tesla app, let's see, other rumored features would include ambient lighting, an upgraded sound system, and let's see. Okay, other changes remain under wraps, but it could include subwoofers, helping make a better sound experience. Anyway, so there's some 3 new pieces or 4 new things that might be coming on the Highland, as that hopefully is something we'll be seeing maybe by the end of this month. So, okay, EVgo, one of the largest charging station companies, has added itself to the chorus. I think that's 4 different charging station groups that have announced that they're going to go to the NACS standards. Could see slight help to the stock this week of some more of the major companies. The Kia, Hyundai, Mercedes, et cetera. If some of these major companies start saying that they're agreeing to NACS standards as well. Now, will Elon do a Twitter Spaces with each of their CEOs as this happens? I hope so. That's great. Anyway, although they need to make it a little richer. Maybe they need to have a little conversation in the green room before they go on so that the conversation is more interesting. Toyota, big news from Toyota. They made a big switch in tone today with a statement about new BEVs coming in. Are you ready for it? 2026. Well, okay. So, and they're saying that what they're going to have is they're going to have solid state batteries. They're going to have lithium ion batteries that'll give them 600 plus miles of range. But of course, okay, solid state battery, 600 plus miles of range, but that's 2026. Who knows what the rest of the industry will be doing by that? We know that batteries are improving. We know that Tesla is just in the beginning days of their 4680s. So these Tesla numbers might be ho-hum by the time they happen, and they're going to be way late. It's so late in the game. If you've seen some of my other recent videos or some of the ones that I've got coming up, these numbers are so late. Their anticipation of being in the market in 2026 is so late that they may miss the game entirely, because by then we might be having robo-taxis, which could change everything. Okay. We have another breaking piece of news right now just happening, that Elon Musk has noted that the Starship will be going up again in 4 to 6 weeks. All right, here's my news. Okay, I have news for you from me today, and that is I'm going to start producing this news episode every morning, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, at approximately 7 p.m. Pacific, 10% Eastern. I've had a tremendous response to this news program that I was only doing on Monday morning. It makes sense to get this news at the beginning of the day. I might try to make it even earlier, but what I'm trying to do is finish my analysis at about 6:35 after the market opens. We begin to see motion, be able to record it and produce it and put it up on YouTube by 7. So that's why I'm doing it at that time, as opposed to pre-market. I'd like to see the very beginning movements of the market at 6:30 to 6:40 Pacific time, which is where I normally am. Actually, I am there now too. I'm back in California. I kept up this screen. It just makes me happy to think about being back in Kauai. All right. Anyway, so I'm going to give this same kind of deal. I'm going to talk about the general macro. I'll probably report oil and bond numbers every morning. I'll bring any financial news about things that have been reported that day, whether that's company news or whether that's government reporting or other indexes that are reporting. I'll analyze those. I'll give you updates, and I'll take a look at what I think is going to happen in the market on that day. Now, I don't know any more about it than you do. It's just one more voice. It's kind of like calling your best friend that you think might be paying attention and saying, what do you think is going to happen in the market today? Anyway, I'm also going to start creating substantially more content on Patreon. In fact, what I'm thinking of doing is putting up my scripts. I have kind of a rough outline here. You probably can tell that I don't read it. I kind of use it as a way to be able to remember everything that I want to talk to you about. So I'm thinking about putting those scripts up on Patreon, or I might actually put the transcripts. If anybody knows a way to take YouTube transcripts and get them off of YouTube in a way that's readable, you can go get them. But when you copy that transcript, it's got all kinds, it's all broken up. It's not designed well. I'm going to try to put it in ChatGPT and see if that fixes it, but maybe you know an app that does it. Anyway, I'm going to put either my scripts or my transcripts up of my shows each day onto Patreon in case it's easier for you or better, where you can go read them. You can read it much faster than I say it. So that might be another use for you on Patreon, along with all my my spreadsheets with regard to the various divisions of Tesla, including the overall Tesla picture. Okay, that's all I got for today. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, join Patreon so that you can get all that information. And hey, it's been great talking to you.